Good, bad, or otherwise. No, yeah.
Mike, how are you?
Thank you. How you been?
Good, real good.
For November.
Okay. Because if you get to the 26th, that's almost first of December.
Well, that's just the 19th, 2 weeks before December.
Oh, so we would maybe just defer November too.
Yeah,
It's
because
a
I
tough
had
shoot.
3 members to get their input.
Could you do it on the 7th, Wednesday after lunch? Yeah, I don't know what schedule we're on.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here. I'm gone.
Which a lot of times though, the stuff is still in the room, because it's all done in here, a lot of they still have this stuff
Yeah,
set
'cause
up.
they're,
They usually don't get it out that fast.
Well, you could do it, so if you didn't, you would
13th
just
would
be,
be the day after Veterans Day, Tuesday.
right, that's what I was thinking, you just move it back, you do it, and I could actually, well, I would be here for that.
That worked for me.
So is that something we can bring up here?
Yeah, before we adjourn, we can,
Do you want the meetings 2 days in a row then? 'Cause they're talking about the 13th, which will have zoning commission on the 14th.
What's on the 14th? Oh,
We have zoning.
whether you want to have to, yeah.
That should make any difference. We don't even know if we'll have any agenda items.
Following week, I think, would be a waste.
well, we've got two that are being carried
No,
over.
I mean for the zoning commission.
Well, yeah, we got the,
But for November.
oh, that's right, that's right. Yeah, we don't even know if we'll have anything for the zoning commission for November, so.
Because I don't think there's anything downtown
Yeah,
at
there's
this
nothing
point.
down anywhere, unless something gets continued, that's on the
From
agenda.
that.
We get two things that are carried over, like they expressed it.
No, we're talking about the
Well, for the zoning commission on the
Right.
14th.
So, oh, those?
So, yeah, so, yeah, the 13th would
The other board,
work for us.
Okay.
The board.
there's nothing for next.
well, you'll have something for October, but at this point, nothing's in the pipeline for November.
This is October.
Correct. But for their November meeting, the zoning commission,
Those guys. Let's go through this
yeah,
again.
the other board.
Okay. Meeting, we all sit on, okay. The meeting of the Sylvania Township Board of Zoning Appeals is now in session. Call the meeting to order. Can we take roll, please?
Mr. Halbert?
Here?
Mr. Amos?
Here,
Mr. Sabo?
Okay. Did we get the minutes? Yeah, we did, that's right. yeah.
And there's a copy of them.
Okay, yeah, we did, that's right. Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes from September's meeting?
so move.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Halbert?
Yes. Okay. Make sure we have that.
We need a motion.
Down to
on
the,
that.
sorry?
We need a motion to carry over.
Yeah, I think the first old business we had is number 4, a variance request to add a drive-through and modify the existing screening for property at 7115 West Central. This has been continued several times, but there has been a motion to continue it. Well, there's been a request, I'm sorry, by the applicant to continue it to November's meeting. One thing I know we had discussed, is that the possibility of asking the applicant for, recouping advertising costs. I believe that the applicant's representative is here on another case, and I think that may be agreeable to them. So that's something, I don't know if we need a motion for that or not. That's really more of your...
Right, well, actually, this month, it's kind of,
This month is more of us.
right, it's, it's my understanding they're ready to go, and then, we realized we only had 3 members for the board, and so,
Okay, so if we I guess then if we would have, so we're considering letting it ride since, and then if they go beyond November, we may want to consider that.
Sure.
Okay, all right, that's fine, so then, I'm good with that. So, we don't need a motion to continue this. Okay, so that item is going to be continued then to November's meeting. Well, we're still under old business because I'm debating this. We'll get to the new business one when we get to it then, in terms of not going out of order. Okay, so let's deal with, so we have another, so the next item under old business is a variance request for reduction in height and front setback for the property located at 2727 Holland, Sylvania, by Ron Horniak, agent for Huntington Properties. This also was continued from September's.
Actually, Ron Horniak is not the agent for the applicant, it's Jerry Parker.
Okay, that's what showed up on here. I don't
Right.
know what I got.
That was probably on your last month's report, but on the October report, it's got Jerry Parker listed as the agent.
Yeah, it's not on the agenda.
And it's on the staff report.
report.
Okay, that's fine. So we have, for the record, we'll have Jerry Parker on the applicant. And before we discuss this, anybody who's going to give any testimony, I would ask you to raise your right hand now at this point so I can swear you in. Anybody out there? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay, thank you. All right, and so if we can get the report on this case.
The applicants are seeking a variance from the setback requirement for a low-profile monument sign under Section 3107A of the Sylvania Township zoning resolution, and from the height requirement for a low-profile sign under Section 3112 in order to replace an existing storm-damaged sign in the same location along Holland-Sylvania Road. The proposed replacement sign would be 3 feet from the sidewalk and the public right-of-way. Section 3107A of the Sylvania Township zoning resolution requires that a low-profile monument sign in a commercial or industrial district have a 15 feet minimum setback from the right-of-way. This constitutes a variance of 12 feet. The proposed size of the replacement sign is 84 inches wide by 137 inches tall, or 79.9 square feet. Section 3112 requires a low-profile sign be mounted directly to the ground with a maximum height of sign face not to exceed 5 feet and not to exceed 7 feet measured from elevation at center line of the road. A variance of 6 feet 5 inches is being requested. The original sign was 8 feet 6 inches tall and located 2 feet from the sidewalk. The site plan submitted with the application for the original sign permit, approved in 1987, indicates that the sign was to be located 10 feet from the sidewalk. There is no history of a variance being applied for or granted. The applicants are requesting a larger sign in order to accommodate the names of the existing tenants in the office building and wish to locate it in approximation with a similar low-profile sign on the neighboring property to the north. This parcel is also a professional office building but zoned C2 general commercial. The neighboring sign sits 2 feet from the sidewalk and measures 73 inches wide by 131 inches tall. The sign permit was issued in 1988. Again, no history of a variance applied for or granted. Staff recommends denial of this request. The proposed size and placement of the new sign is a significant deviation from the zoning resolution and has potential to negatively impact the traveling public along Holland-Sylvania Road. The fact the previous sign as well as the neighboring sign were and are in violation of the current zoning resolution does not legitimize siting and sizing the new sign contradictory to the resolution. Staff is sympathetic to the applicant's concerns. However, they are not without other options. There is a grass peninsula located in the parking area nearest Holland-Sylvania Road that would accommodate a sign and could be in keeping with the 15-foot setback requirement. Additionally, a wall sign listing the tenants could be placed on the front of the building, allowing for a smaller, low-profile sign along the front of the property comprising only of the address and perhaps the building name.
Okay.
Pretty slick on the graphics.
I was about to say.
It was a slow day.
I was pretty mesmerized. Very impressive. Any questions or comments?
The Knowles is where the flag is?
Yeah, the flag was in the peninsula area.
Yeah, which one was that?
Are the two properties owned by the same group, partner, whatever? I mean, the buildings look very similar, and the parking lot.
You know, I think they were constructed by the same builder. Right now, each unit is individually condominiumized and separately owned. But it was probably built as one complex.
Were we aware that they didn't have a variance for either side? Is that
Not-
something, now that we're aware of that with the other building, we'll have a discussion with some sort?
If we did that, we would be at it all the time if we went after people like that. I mean,
People respect what you enforce, so.
Any other questions or comments at this point? Is there somebody here to speak on this matter?
Yes, good evening, Jerry Parker.
Here, just ask you to sign in, please. Thanks. Thank you.
The issue with this sign is, none of this has been caused by the applicant. It's a storm-related problem. The truth of the matter is, you've got a number of businesses that have been here for a long time, contributing to Sylvania Township. They've been good businesses. They rely on this sign because if you've driven down Holland-Sylvania Road in this area, like I have for 1,000 times or more, if you move that sign back, it'll be more difficult for anybody to recognize where these people are in that building. In our opinion, and at least in my opinion, and the opinion of the tenants and the owners, it'll create more of a traffic hazard to move it back. You won't see it. So people driving down there will be stopping or looking, trying to find the sign. The sign has been there for 15 or 20 years. It's not created a problem. It's not created a traffic hazard. It's not created any sort of public issue or public, problem. And so all they want to do is relocate their names on this sign and make it more visible, not as visible as it was for the people that recognize where they're at. I mean, these are all owners, occupants, for the most part. They rely on the sign to advertise their business. If you move it back to the island, you won't see it. You drive down there, you will not see the sign if you move it back 20 or 15 feet in that island. You'll be looking for where these people are. I think if you had there was a depiction of where the island was with telephone poles, if you could put that up.
That one?
I mean, if you put it back there, you won't see it. The truth of the matter is you won't see it if you drive back there.
If we put it in there to code, how far back would it be back to the bushes?
Beyond
Approximately.
It's going to be beyond the bushes.
Yeah, a little bit more inside of the bushes.
It'd be about 12 feet back further than where it's at now.
And the truth of the matter is that people will be stretching their necks, stopping, trying to find out what tenants or who's there. And, I understand the position of the administration and the staff, but the truth of the matter, this is not something that these people created. It was damaged by a storm, unfortunately. They'd like to just put back their names where the sign is now. Whether or not a variance was obtained years ago, that's not something I'm privy to, and it's certainly not something this board is privy to. But, these are very good businesses in Sylvania Township that rely on the location of the sign where it's at. And given the fact that this is something not caused by their actions, we're asking for some consideration. And if you look at the sign, I mean, I don't really think where it's at right now is going to cause any sort of issue, certainly aesthetically, certainly not, if it was, people would be here protesting it. But, it will identify the businesses more readily, create less of a traffic issue, less of a traffic problem. It hasn't created any issues so far, ever. And it's just one of those confluence of unusual circumstances. And they would just love to have and really believe that the sign is necessary where it's at. And, they'd like to...
But in this case, we are looking at it even bigger. Forget about just the names, but we are looking at bigger.
But what if we reduce it to the size that they have?
They had 8.6 and they were asking for 11 and a half.
I drove over to the park property, trying to do, and
I know you do.
What I found out was the 2727, where the address is, that sticks out. If I had to read those individual things with my poor little eyes, I'd never make it.
Well, that's what they're trying to do, is to be able to, so people can readily recognize what businesses are there at that address.
My guess is that 35 miles an hour, at least for me, I wouldn't be able to read those businesses unless I slowed way, way down.
I think that's the basis for trying to increase it a little bit, I guess. It's got to be the basis for why they want the signs a little larger, identifying the businesses that are there. I mean, really, if you put it back by the flagpole, you will not, most people won't see it back there. They'll be straining to find it.
Any other questions or comments?
Bushes would be in the way?
Yes,
How high would you say those bushes are?
they're probably, I was out there, they're probably 4.5 feet.
Oops.
Yeah.
And what is supposed to, 3?
They're trimmable.
Even if you trimmed them to 3 feet, you'd be blocking, you'd really be blocking the
I
sign.
mean, do you have, is there an idea of how many slots? I mean, it looks like there's a fair amount of slots. Is that, they pretty much need every one of those
Yes,
in terms of names? Could they have tenants?
you have tenants and owners. There's law firms in there.
Right, right.
There's builders in there. I mean, I don't know really, I mean, it's a tough situation. How do you identify those tenants? Really, in a situation where the person who's driving by can readily recognize where they're at. To put them on the building doesn't work. To put the sign back toward the parking lot, quite frankly, it doesn't work. If the reduction in the signage is something that's causing a problem, we can do that, but we have, you have another sign over there, not that I'm going to piggyback on that, but, it's important for these people to know that people can drive by Holland, Sylvania at that speed limit and recognize where they're at. And the address is important to be right where it's at, because typically that's what most people look at. But having it there is important to them. I mean, if the reduction in the size is an issue, we can certainly address that and look at that. But, to me, it's not creating any sort of traffic or public policy or public issue where it's at. It hasn't for years.
So, I mean, up till now, if I'm not mistaken, prior to the storm, I mean, it really, I guess I am going to ask this, was there an individual directory? Has it always just been the?
Yes, there was.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I guess I needed to clarify.
Yes, there was. There was an identification of each individual business in that building at 2727.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see it, it's a little faint, but on the left there is the original
Yeah,
sign.
there it is, the original
Oh, I
sign.
see it, okay.
Does the original plan show the sign in that area?
No, it shows it actually 10 feet back from the right-of-way.
So
Not necessarily where it's located now. So,
Actually, I think where it showed it was where the flag is. I mean, not quite that far back, but that
Right.
little island.
so for some reason, the sign wasn't located where the permit was issued for. The best our records indicate anyhow.
Drives me nuts if we had an approval, we had a plot, and then they violate our thing, and then coming back and saying, forgive us, because we've already sinned. And just for me, and maybe the only one, but when I drive down the road, I'm looking for the street sign. For me, I would rather pull into the lot than have a sign telling me where to go for individual businesses. But that's the way my old eyes work.
The problem with that is, how do you know what the address is there in that business? And that address is 2727 for them. The individual businesses that are located there.
When I was driving down there and I didn't know where this was, 2727, easy enough to remember. There it is, pulling next thing on
Well,
home.
I think the intent when they do the low monument thing is that you have a low monument sign and it has an address on there. And then
Mhm.
there's a directory on the building or what have you. Okay. It sounds a bit of a challenge. Any other
As far as
questions?
your question about everyone about the sign next door and bringing it into compliance. That's when someone comes in, for a new sign permit, that's when we make them upgrade and meet all of the current standards. So that's how we work that.
Right, makes sense. Any other questions or comments? One thing and I think you knew that before, but I want to make sure that there's only 3 of us today. So
Yes, I could request a deferral on this as well. I probably will, and see if I can reduce the sign. So my request is for a deferral.
Okay. I guess the only reason would we have so I guess my point is if they wanted to reduce the sign, we need to do, but also if you do the deferral, then you're more than likely going to have a full board.
Right.
So does anybody have any objections to deferring this?
Asking for a continuance.
Continuance, and wants to, one of the bases is I think they want to consider.
Procedurally, is that correct? We need a motion, or?
You would need a motion
I
to
would think that would
continue
be a
it.
motion, yeah.
We do have a request from the applicant then to continue.
Yes, sir.
I make a motion based on the request of the applicant to continue this till next month.
Second.
Mr. Amos? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Sable?
Yes.
Mr. Helder?
Yes.
I do have one
Saturday
further,
next month is.
thank you. I do have one further request on the previous deferral. Mr. Califan from Panera's is here, and I have a lot of information on that. Can I just submit it to Mr. Nagy? I have multiple copies for all of you. Just submit it now in connection with the hearing deferral for all of you. All right?
Could you?
Okay.
That's why you didn't raise your hand.
Right.
I was looking at him going, why is, he's here, but he doesn't want to say anything. It's not his case. Okay.
These are copies of all the petitions.
Listen, the Nissan
Plan, and
sewer,
also the wall. I don't know if you saw
for that one.
Yeah, the wall looks nice.
Yes, it does, yes.
I think we'll talk about it. We're moving on to new business. We have a conditional use request to operate a child daycare for the property at 2974
Good.
Ford by Rebecca Landrum, and there's been a request to defer that one to November, and we'll be doing that. Last, I think, order of business is trying to establish a date for November's meeting. Thank you. For November's meeting, and based on elections and a holiday being on the first 2 Mondays, one consideration had been to hold the meeting on Tuesday, November 13th, if I have my date right. And do we need to do a motion on that?
As far as we, so the
I would
township
make a
hall,
motion because we changed, because you approved it at the beginning of the year for this.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying just
Oh, yeah.
before we do something, we need to make sure the township hall is available so we don't bump into somebody else.
I mean, I'll have to double check that tomorrow. The trustees meet, excuse me, on the, they're gonna have to move their meeting too, because they would have one on the 6th, which is election day, so they'll probably either cancel that
Let
or
me look
move it.
online real quick, I can see.
They may want this.
I can see
Same
it.
date we want.
And then
Change theirs too.
their second one would be on the 20th.
Election day, isn't it?
Let me look.
Yes, yeah.
Why is the 20th a different color?
Unless we're looking at their watches.
It is on the 20th. Thanksgiving's good.
It's a Mexican holiday on the 20th.
Well, that's out.
Works for me.
That's right.
Margaritas,
I'll be making siesta at that time. So do we want to make that subject to availability? I don't know, well, because if they're going to defer, they may want want this date, if they want to push their meeting back a week. I guess I would.
They usually only do it a day or so, a couple days.
Oh, okay.
Usually.
More than likely, they'll just cancel. They did for the July 3rd. They just canceled that meeting, and there was another one too.
Wait, they meet twice? Oh,
Right.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, okay.
First and third Tuesday they meet.
All right, so I guess if there's a motion to move our November meeting to Tuesday, November 13th at 6.
So move.
And second?
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Hubbard?
Yes.
And we'll let the other members know. Hopefully they're available as well.
Did the three of us all have that day open, sir?
I do. Yeah, I'll be
So we
back.
at least have a forum?
Yeah, come back at 12. Okay. Being any other business? Not,